Hi everyone, it's Cassie. Welcome back for another Fun Fold Friday. Everybody seemed to really like the concept, so we're gonna give it a try. We are going to try and do one every other week for now. This is what we're gonna be making today. We're gonna make this type of fold. I'm gonna show you an A7 version that I kind of just made up, and the A2 version. So I've made this card before, and so it's really pretty simple, which is why I like it. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. So here are the products we're using. This is actually called the You're a Keeper stamp set. It's not available. I will have something else linked down below that's like that if you do like the Lawn Fawn bees. We're also going to be using this one, which is called the Magic Iris Beehive add-on. So you guys know I love the Magic Iris, but we're not going to use this as a Magic Iris. We're going to use it another way. And then, of course, I'm bringing in just some circle dies and some rectangle dies. Go through your stash, find out what you might like to use because there are some options. So yeah. All right. So I do apologize. Like I said, this stamp set isn't available. I've looked everywhere. I think it must have been like a free with purchase kind of thing, which is, fun. I'm trying to use what I have, and I hadn't inked this stamp set up, which is kind of embarrassing. So I wanted to use this. I'm kind of in love with the bees. One of you out there had suggested I pull in some bees, and so I was like, you know what? I'm going to do that. So this set is darling. I will link below another couple of Lawn Fawn bee sets if you just like this little style, and then you can go from there. But yeah, I wish this one was available because I don't have the die to match, which you will see. I'm putting all the colors up on the screen, and I am, interestingly enough, if you've watched me before, you'll probably have noticed that when I'm doing any grays or trying to keep something kind of white, I will go dark to light, but my normal way of coloring is going light to dark. But I guess I've just found that when I'm working with something I want to keep more white, I'll start with the dark. So you'll see from here on out, I will go light to dark. So what we're going to do his little boots, and we're just using that WG 3 and 5, and then he's going to be a little brown bear. It's funny, as I was coloring this, I was thinking about the fact that he is a bear, and he's wearing this little suit, and it's really only protecting his face. I suppose I probably could have colored like he's wearing gloves, but I didn't. And his ears are out too. Obviously, this is adorable, so I think it's just fun. But these bees look like they're pretty friendly bees, so I don't think they're stinging anybody, right? Like they have smiles on their faces. I don't know what it is about these Lawn Fawn images. They're just too cute. All right, so now that everything is colored, I am going to fussy cut everything out. Like I said, yeah, I would have loved to have had the dies on this one, but it is what it is. I don't mind fussy cutting. I know the Scan and Cut can do a lot of this for y'all, and I just don't have one of those yet, which is fine. Budget requires other things, so I will happily and easily cut those out. So let's get started with our card bases and what it takes. I'm going to slow this down to normal time here. This is an A2 card base, 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches. We are going to score this like we normally would at 4.25 inches. So that's it. That's what's super easy about this one. We'll start with the A2 because the measurements are a whole lot simpler to work with. And then we'll graduate to the A7. I just wanted to see if we could do it. Obviously you can, and we did. Okay, so there's our base. I did get some patterned papers. This is not available anymore. This was a Trinity Stamps patterned paper. I just thought it was so pretty. And I cut it down to 4 inches by 5.25, so just a little bit smaller than the front of our A2 size card. I'm going to adhere this down to the front, but I'm only going to glue the edges. And the reason for that is because I want to die cut out the center, and I want those pieces to be separate. So we are just going to put glue on the edges, and it'll stay on there just fine. So we'll glue that down, and then we will move on to the rest of it. We're going to let that kind of dry. So this is the inside piece. This measures 8 inches by 5.25 inches, and then we are going to score it at 4 inches and at 6 inches. So we'll get down a little bit closer. This works out great if you have a score buddy. So I went ahead and scored this at 4 inches and also at 6. This is what makes this such an easy, fun fold to do. So yeah, that's all we did. And then you're going to like accordion style, as you can see. And as you can tell, that folded part is basically half of the other piece. So there you have that. We will attach that to the inside a little bit later, but we're going to go ahead and die cut what we want out of the center of the front of this card. Make sure you keep it open. I've pulled in this rectangle. We're going to tack that down with a little bit of mint tape because I don't want it shifting. And then we'll peel off that mint tape, and keep in mind that this is not only a layer of cardstock, but a layer of pattern paper, so you may have to pass it through your die cutting machine a couple times to make sure it cuts. And then we have our 2 pieces. I'm going to set that blue piece off to the side because we're not going to use that. But here is what I'm going to do. I'm going to flip this around because I really like that blue. I love pattern papers that are double-sided. Gives you lots and lots of options. And then I am going to cut down a white piece of cardstock to be a little bit smaller than that piece we just did. We're back to double time. I'm going to build a background here. I want this to be a cute little scene, so I'm using some mint tape because I want to mask off part of that. I have some Mowed Lawn Distress ink and one of my blending buddies from Trinity stamps, and I'm going to blend some grass down below. I'm starting with darker on top, and then we'll get lighter towards the bottom. And the trick here is to start on your mint tape or whatever you're using to mask so that you don't have some weird splotches. So look at that ground, it looks good. And then for the sky, we're just going to do a little bit of tumbled glass around the edges. And so that'll make it darker on the edges and lighter towards the center. And our background is ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and glue this down to that patterned paper piece that we already have. It'll be a nice little light blue border around it. It's just fun. And then we can stamp out our sentiment, which says buzzin' by to say, and I'll stamp the ellipsis as well. We're going to use this sentiment a few times, or a couple times actually. And then we have our sentiment, we'll trim that down, and we'll have our sentiment ready to go. I'm going to start assembling our pieces, so I'm going to have him holding the honeycomb, and we'll glue all of that together because I want to put foam tape on the back of that whole little bit. So all those pieces are connected. And then we could put some foam tape on the back of our bear, and we could put some foam tape on the back of our sentiment. So once all that is on there, we can start placing things on that scene just to see where everything is going to go. You'll notice I have those 2 little bees off to the side. We're going to use one of those, and we're also going to use their little flying trail. There's 2 of them. They're so cute. We'll stamp that right onto our background, and then we're going to glue our bee right to it. I am not about trying to put a tiny piece of foam tape on that bee, so he will be in the background, and he'll be just fine back there. So using my pickup stick to stick him down. Isn't that adorable? Oh my gosh. So then I could peel off our release paper, and we can stick our sentiment down, and then we can stick our little beekeeper down. He's so cute with his little beehive. Oh my gosh. Adorable. And then we can pull in the inside of our card. So there is that. Before I put any of that down, I'm going to stamp a sentiment on the inside for the card. And so it's going to say, you know, the ellipsis, and then have a beautiful day. And then of course I have our one last little bee. So we're going to make our little flying trail, and then we'll put our bee down on the inside. So that will be the inside of the card. Oh, this just makes me happy. Just makes me happy. So once he's all in there, we can do the rest of the assembly. So we'll fold that up. Oh, well, and obviously I did have some ink mess, so I brought in my mono sand eraser to get rid of any ink splotches that don't belong there. So that is an essential tool in my craft space. All right, we'll put glue on the back of that panel after everything's folded in, and then we can line that up on the inside. Perfect. Close it up. And the easiest way to attach down your little scene is put the glue on this flap. Don't go all the way to the edge because the glue will spread, but that is the easiest way to put everything together and have it work perfectly. But check that out. We're going to add some embellishments in the end. I love it so much. All right, so there is our A2. Now we're going to move on to an A7. But before we talk about the paper that you need, I'm going to build up my little scene for this one too. I've gone ahead and die cut all of those Magic Iris Beehive add-on pieces out of different colors of cardstock. To add some dimension to those, we're using our Olo markers, and this is just a great way to add some color without having to color the whole thing, which is super fun. So colored cardstock could definitely be your friend here. So fun. All right, so that's the hive. We'll do more to it a little bit later. I'm going to color up the little hexagon pieces that are the honeycomb, and those are going to go on the inside, basically on the circle that you see there. It's so much fun to me. This part, like the coloring and the piecing together, where everything just starts to become what you envisioned in your mind, it makes me happy. This is just my happy place. All right, I'm bringing in a couple of Distress ink colors, and I forgot I had this piece. It's basically a cube holder for your ink cubes. Simon Says Stamp carries it, so I will have that link down below. It's just a nice way to hold those cubes in place, and then you don't have to worry about using both of your hands. So I've got some mustard seed, I believe. We've got our mustard seed color there. And then we have brushed corduroy. We're going to add a little bit more depth. I want this little circle piece to look like it's far inside the hive, so definitely it's going to be darker. And then we'll use that also on the branch. Now, to make our bee, there's two pieces to him. The yellow piece, and then we have the little black body piece, which I think is great. It's actually a really genius way to do it. So once I've colored, I've just added a little yellow to his sides. I've added black to his antenna and his stinger. You wouldn't have to do that if you didn't want to. I just decided to do it. Then you're going to poke out all the little pieces, and you can add a little bit of glue to the back. And here are the little body pieces. Aren't those great? Just makes it super simple to put all these together. And then the black will show through. I think in this case I used a dark gray though. All right, so there's our cute little bee. He does have wings. We'll add those here. I cut those out of some light blue. I think it'd be fun to add a little bit of glitter to those. And now we're going to add our honeycomb in the background. So I'm just using my pickup stick, a dot of glue, and we're being kind of sporadic with those to make it look like that honeycomb's just kind of back there. There is a stencil, and I plan to use that one, not in this video, but later on, because I'm kind of on a bee kick now. Now that Cairo has brought it up, it's in my mind. So I'm loving the bees too. I mean, maybe it's me hopefully bringing spring on. Who knows? All right, so we have our little circle background ready to go. And now we're going to start talking about the pieces. So this is an A7 card base. You're going to cut this to be 7 inches by 10 inches. All right, just like normal. And then you're going to score this at 5 inches. So this will be a 5 by 7 card. Yep, just like you normally would for any A7 card. And I'm using my Score Buddy because this one has a lot more measurements. And this is where it's going to get a little bit tricky, is the inside piece. So I'll show you that here in a second as well, after we talk about the pattern paper panel. So now this did come from a 6x8 pattern paper panel. When you're making an A7, if you want to use pattern paper, you got to use those that are 6x8. So we're going to do the same thing with this one. We're just going to add the glue to the outside edge. It does end up, I went a little too far in on one of those edges. It's fine. We work with it. But we'll go ahead and attach that down. We're going to do the same thing with the front of this card that we did with the A2, obviously. This is just the same thing, just bigger scale. And I'm going to use circles this time. So you can use those different shaped dies that you might have a little fun with it. So we'll run that through our die cutting machine after I've taped it down. And then we'll have our circle. Like I said, it was kind of attached at one little piece, but it's fine. I am going to use the blue piece, and I am going to use the pattern paper piece. We're going to flip it, just like we did with the other one. And the blue one I'm going to trim down. So I've got a circle die that's just a slight bit smaller, and we'll go ahead and glue that onto our pattern paper piece. And then we can start building our scene. So we'll go ahead and put our hive in there. I love how that looks. It's so cute. I can't wait to make an actual magic iris with this one. But I think that's what makes these great, like I was saying earlier, is yes, this is part of the Magic Iris add-on, but in this case, I'm using it not with the Magic Iris. So you can do that with any of them. In fact, I think I used one. I know I used one with a halo light, so I had a light up in there as well. So fun. All right, we'll add our bee. We're going to start adding the rest of our little pieces after we talk about this paper. So this is going to measure 9.5 inches by 6 3/4 inches. So pause this piece if you need to write those measurements down, and then this is how it's going to get scored. So it is going to be scored at 4 3/4. So I'm showing you that here, 4 3/4, and because I'm using a Score Buddy, I don't have 7 1/8, so I do have to flip this over. And basically what that is it's at 2 3/8 or something, but I don't have that. So I'm going to move it over 1/8 and mark it at 2 1/2. Okay, so that's how I was able to get those pieces on this A7. And then once again, it'll fold in like an accordion, and that works great. So I'm going to go ahead and attach this down to the inside of our card base, just like we did before. Once that's all attached in there, nice, we can do the rest of the assembly, or which is what we're going to do. We're going to close it up, put that glue on the one side, and then attach our circle to the inside. All right, and then we can start putting the rest of our pieces. So we're going to put the branch. I wanted that on the inside, but showing through on the circle. So put the branch down, and then we've got all these cute little flowers that we've pieced together, and we have some leaves. So we're going to put those leaves in there also. I'm going to end up using the same sentiment I used earlier from that same You're a Keeper set. I hope they come out with that again, because I looked on the Lawn Fawn website. I looked around. I couldn't find it. So anyway, hopefully they'll come out with it again some other time. All right, so we're going to save those last 2 leaves for the inside of the card. And now we're going to close it up, and we're going to add some of those flowers. So I'm going to add 3 down here at the bottom. And that pickup stick works amazing for picking up these flowers. I don't think I could manage without this thing, to be honest with you. You know, I made it just fine before I had one, I guess, but now that I have it, it's just one of those, like, can't live without it tools. All right, so I'll add a couple more on the inside. We're going to save one of the flowers for the inside of the card, but I wanted some of these flowers on the top, too. Just so cute. I love these little die cuts where you can just have fun with it. So there's our sentiment again, buzzing by to say. We're going to trim that down later, but we'll add our inside sentiment, which is once again, have a beautiful day. We'll put this bee in there, and then we'll put our little flowers on the other side of it. But it's just so fun to decorate with these. Do any of you have this set yet? Oof. I know it's been out for a while, probably since last summer. It's embarrassing that this is the first time I'm actually cutting it out and inking it up. Just tell you, last year was a rough year. just gonna leave it at that. But yeah, so we'll do the inside here, and then we'll close it up, and then we have to add our sentiment to the outside. So I went ahead and trimmed that down, add that there, and then we are going to add some embellishments to this. And the embellishments that we're going to be using are some little flat back sequins, and we're also using some little gemstones. And I'll have those linked down below as well. But they're both from Trinity Stamps. I picked the perfect colors to match this paper. I love doing that. And they're just kind of subtle on that background. And when I was putting these away, I lost a couple of them. Turns out they were just hanging out on the inside of the bigger A7 card. You'll see that when I open it. There's just 2 hanging out in there. They're not glued down, but they're just hanging out. I don't know how they got in there. So yeah. Those will all get put down. And once that is it, or once that's done, that's it. Those are our cards for today. I hope you try these fun folds. Let me know if you plan on it or if you've already done these. But these were so fun to make. And I'm looking forward to our next fun fold. We'll do that in a couple weeks. But yeah, let me know what you think down in the comment section down below. If you like this video, hit that like button. Definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And as always, I will see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.